Hi, this is Maddie and Elizabeth again for the Center for Nursing Inquiry, and I'm going to take some time now to show you how to do a title and abstract screening for a literature search. So we're already here in Excel, and if you aren't quite sure how we got to this point, you can go back and watch the video about how to import your references from a database into Excel. So here we are in Excel. I've already done that part. And there is a lot of information here that can get a little confusing. So the first thing I like to do is delete any columns that I know aren't really applicable or going to help me at the moment. So I'm just going to bring the title a bit bigger. But the URL column isn't very helpful, so I'm going to delete that. I also have the description here, which when you look a little closer is actually the authors. And so the word description isn't super helpful for me, so I'm going to just change that to author. I also have the details, which is all the information about the date, the journal, things like that. So I'm going to leave that. The following column is short details, which I don't need since I have the previous one, so I'm going to delete it. I definitely want to keep where I got it from because this is all PubMed information, but if I later bring something in from CINAHL or Cochrane, I want to be able to put that in so I know where I got it from. And then these other things aren't very helpful, like the type, the identifiers, the database, because I already have my resource, so I'm going to delete all that, as well as this other column of numbers because I'm not quite sure what that means. And then finally, I'm going to leave the properties because it does have a date in there, which is helpful, I think, a little bit later. I've deleted all of the extra information just to make it a little bit more clear for myself. So I have my title and I have my author. And the first thing I really want to do is a title screening. So what I'm going to do is add a column in here. And I'm going to wrap the text for the title so I can actually see. And this is the B is the column I just created, and I'm going to write title, screening, include, or exclude. Now that I have that in there, I am going to turn this into a table for myself. So it's actually, I'm able to use all the functionality of a table. So I'm highlighting all of the 15 rows. I'm going to format it as a table. And because I already have the things like the title screening, all the labels for each column, I'm going to click this box here that says My Table has headers so that it recognizes those as the categories. So now it's time for me to do my title screening. So my titles are all here on the left, and I'm, let's say for the purposes of the demonstration, I'm really looking for evidence-based practice tools or ways to evaluate evidence-based practice projects. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to assign every article a number. I'm going to give an article a 0 if I don't want it, if it does not answer my question. I'm going to give it a 1 if I think that based on the title it might answer my question. And I'm going to give it a 2 if it's a duplicate of something that's already in there. So because I only have PubMed at this time, there should be no duplicates. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to say this first one sounds relevant. Oh, I'm sorry, so I'm going to give it a 1, not a 0.
Maddie, while you're looking, I'm curious. So this you've used before, you know that 0 is not relevant, 1 is relevant, choose duplicate. For someone who might be doing this for the first time, do you suggest that they keep track of what the 0, 1, and 2 means somewhere? Like, for example, making a code book, because let's say I don't do this often and I forget what the 1 means, or if I'm sharing this with a team, you know, they won't know what 1 means. So do you make a code somewhere to delineate what 0, 1, and 2 means?
Yeah, so that's a great question. What I tend to do is when I'm going through this, I have my EBP question written out somewhere, and then next to that, I'm going to write how I'm coding things. So my 0 means out, 1 means in, 2 means duplicate. So you can do that in your own sort of notes. You can actually also kind of, if you want to write it in a text box or on the side over here on your Excel sheet so everyone can see it a little bit later. But yeah, making sure that everyone's on the same page about what each of those things mean is really important, and also so you don't forget later what you were thinking.
Okay, thank you.
So I've gone through and I kind of did this arbitrarily just for the purposes of our example, but I gave everything either a 1 or a 0. So now I want to go up and so I've decided that about half of these are things that I want to see a little bit more information about, and I'm going to want to look at their abstract, and I decided that based on the title, about half of them are things that aren't really all that useful to me. So I'm going to go up here to my title screening, include or exclude, and pull down my sorting options. And so now I only really want to look at the titles that we decided to include, and we know that include is a 1. So I'm going to take out all the 0s, and I'm just going to look at my 1s. So I have about 15 rows, and when I just look at the 1s, I go down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But everything that's left on our most left-hand column here are the things that based on the title we think are relevant. So now the next step is to do a abstract appraisal. So I'm going to add a new column, and this is going to be our abstract screening column. And then I'm going to do the same thing again, where I'm going to take each title, open up the article either in Google Scholar or PubMed, read the abstract, and based on the abstract, assign it for a 1 if it's in and a 0 if it's out. Once I've done that, I've pulled up all the articles and decided which ones I want in and which ones I want out. I can sort this list further. So right now we have all the things that are title screened, and then this next column are all the things that are also in based on the abstract. So I'm going to sort back down to just the ones. We started off with about 15 articles, and based on reading the title and then the abstract, we have 3 articles that made it through our abstract screening process. Another big hint here is as you look at those articles, the abstracts that you read and you say, yes, this is in, I want to look at the whole article, the full text, save those. You can put them in a RefWorks folder, you can put them just on in a JBox, but make sure you save the article so that when it's time to do the full text screening later, you don't have to again look for the article. You have a folder that has all those relevant articles in it.
Okay, so for that part, you mean if it's 1-1 and we're totally needing to read this whole article through, you're finding the full text article in the database or elsewhere. You're saving that PDF into a folder, so that way you have the articles that you're going to be reading later when you're using Appendix E and F to kind of go through the level and quality of the article.
Exactly. So you're just sort of doing yourself a future favor.
Excellent. Wow, this is really helpful.
Yeah, I'm glad that was able to help. And if you have any questions or if anyone has any questions in the future, we're more than happy to sit down with you through the Center of Nursing Inquiry and really help you get through this process, because this can be complicated, but once you get it sort of fine-tuned, it should make your life a lot easier.